So welcome back to this series on the principles of power. I'm going to talk about the fourth principle of power, and that's the notion that power doesn't always coincide with authority. So when thinking about powerful people, we tend to first of all come up with presidents, people who run large corporations, those who sit at the top one way or another of a hierarchy, whether that's an organizational hierarchy or a family hierarchy it could be, or even a nation state. You know, the presidents, the CEOs, the chairwomen, the chairmen, and so on and so forth. So understandably, we tend to kind of confuse or conflate power and authority, that is, position in a hierarchy. But actually, it's quite possible to be in a very senior, even at the top of a hierarchy, and have very little power at all. I mean, if you think of a puppet dictator, or a prime minister, for example, who's announced that they will resign, but is just hanging on for a few weeks, and during that period is what's known as a lame duck. Or you could think of a teacher in a class who can't control her pupils, or the captain of a team who's lost command of that team. In all those cases, a position of hierarchical power has failed to translate into power at hand. And that contains a lesson for both those lower down the hierarchy and for people at the top of the hierarchy too. So if you're lower down the hierarchy, you can assure yourself that just because somebody more senior than you is more senior, they don't necessarily have more power. Their authority is just a proxy for such power. It's not necessarily inherent in them. So you might be able to make a bit of, or see a little bit of distance between them and their power, which you're assuming that they have. And for those at the top too, of course, it's a critical question. If you do have a lot of power, significant amount of power, ask yourself, where does that power derive from? How much comes from your position in the hierarchy, your rank, and how much comes from something based on your inner qualities, whatever they might be? Or to exaggerate the point, strip away your position, take away your job, leave that company or that position in office that you have in the state, and what power actually remains. So this, I think, is a helpful way of thinking about what power really is, and a key principle that power doesn't always coincide with authority.